In this video, I'll show you how to create a custom function and extract the output of another function using environment variables. Now, I'll show you the logic behind all these things. So, just to start with, I'll just show you one of the function which I have already written. So, this function, as you see over here, is called as mathematical operation. Now, what does this function does? If I open this function, it will take two operand 1, operand 2, form of integer, and perform addition, multiplication, and division. Now, what you can do, you can call this function directly, or you can use some logic to call this function output. Now, I'll show you what I meant. So let's start creating one function. So let me create one function. So automation and go to function. Now here I will call it as G function environmental. Okay, and what we are going to do, we are going to pass the value from this function, okay, and call another function. Now in order to do that, we may need to make use of some, say, input parameter. So let's make this input parameter as dynamic. Okay, so let me call this as integer. Okay, and then this one I will just call it as value 1, and I'll call this as value 2. Now, I'm not going to write the logic over here, but I'm just going to perform this operation, but in this function. Now, the output result, what I want is env. So I will just call this as environment variable output. Okay. Now, I will select the formula over here. I'm not going to make use of any table reference, but I will just put opening braces and closing braces. And then from here, I will be getting the output. Now here, in order to perform any mathematical operation, I could have gone and I will just say environment, and the output is value 1 plus value 2, or value 1 multiplied by value 2. But in this case, I've already created that function beforehand. Now, if I want to call that function, it's simple. We just need to specify environment dot, okay, and then it will give you the list of all the custom function which you have already created. Now I've created so many custom functions, but this time I'm going to call mathematical operations. Now the mathematical operation function which I've already created, it asks for a couple of things. It has this named args of record. Okay, now I showed you first. Let me show you again what how does that function looks like. So let me go to the power apps, let me go into the solution, and let me go into the custom function. Now here I've already created this mathematical operation function. Now this mathematical operation function which I showed you beforehand, I'm going to call this function from another function. Now here it takes two operand 1, operand 2, and then it will give you that result output, right? Now there is some logic involved in it. It will add, it will multiply, it will divide. So here I'm just calling this function from here, and I'm passing couple of things. Now how do we pass the couple of things over here is we just first close this bracket. Okay, and let me start writing the code. Like here the function basically will take two operand, right? Now you can put that value in a curly braces, and then it will ask for two operators. So operand 1 is, you can hard code that value, but in my case I will just put a value 1 because I've already have this value 1. So I'm gonna use this value 1 and value 2 as an input parameter. Okay, so I'll just call this as value 1 comma op2 and value 2. So what we are using, we are using the input parameter which you have already created. Just close the curly braces properly. Just close the opening braces. Let me remove this over here. And then as you see over here, it has given me this output. So this is the output. Okay. So env environment dot that function, and then you're passing that value. And now remember, this is a result of this. Okay, so we need to get the result, so I'll just put a dot. So let me properly format this again, because this interface is a bit clumsy. So I'll just put this curly braces correctly, close the function, and then I can say what do I want out of it. I want an addition, I want a division, or I want a multiplication. So I'll say I want a say addition. Okay, now in addition, and then once I do that, so I want that addition as a function. So let me select this, and the output we know always the value 1 would be an integer, value 2 would be an integer, and definitely the value output should be an integer. And once you fix this, everything is all sorted out. So you have already created a function which has whole bunch of parameters. We are just utilizing one of this. So g function has already so many things, but we are just using one of the function over here. And I'll click on save. So the name is g function dash environmental. So using that environment object, you can query. Okay. Now, how to extract this information? Let me save this Power Automate flow. So I'm going to create a Power Automate flow which has manual trigger. It has a compose action. Now here in this compose action, I will start getting the output. Okay. Now the name of the function is g function dash environmental. So we need to call that. Now, how do we call in a Power Automate flow? You can call this in a Canvas app as well, but in Power Automate flow, I'm gonna call this using a Dataverse action. So Dataverse action perform an unbound action. So if I click on new, add an action, Dataverse, take Dataverse, perform an unbound action, and then from here I should be able to see the function which I've already created. Sometimes it will take a while to load this function, but then this is here. I can see gear underscore g function environmental. I'll just select this function. It will ask for two values. So let me put 12 and 3 as a value. And in the compose, here I want the output. So from the output over here, I can see that gear function environmental response output is env. So I'll select this and click on save. And what we have done, we have called a function, but that function is calling another custom function, and then it is going to give me that result. So we can create those library of functions for your specific project, and then you can call that function through another function. So I run this, and then we'll see the output. The output is 15. So why the value has come as 15? Because we have seen 12 plus 3, and then it has given me that value. So you can use multiplication, you can use division, you can use whatever values available over here, and then you can get this information back. So what we have done, we have created a function, we have called another custom function, and then we have used one of the operation of that custom function. So how do we extracted those information? We have two input parameters, and we have one output parameter, and we have made use of an environment object to call that function and get the result out of it. So that's it, folks. This is how you can call a one function from another function using PowerFX custom functions. Thanks for watching.